Yes, I hope so. I think we need a soundtrack for our thing.
I know. StreamYard just actually offered me to put an intro video, so we need to put in something. That
Oh
would be
yeah,
fun.
absolutely. We have to pick some great tune or favorite song and have it as an intro to our episode. Hi everyone, welcome on board. I think we're live, right? Should be
Yes, I
live.
think so. Do you want to take a look on LinkedIn? Do you have any open?
I think so. Yeah, we should be live definitely, and I'm excited to talk about networking today. I actually have some questions around networking for you, Vlada, because it just
I'll
like
put the light. I put the special light so I can put all the attention.
I see it. Yeah, it's pretty. It's really beautiful. Yeah, it's kind of it's been gray in Miami this past couple
Yeah,
of
I
days.
know.
I
Yeah,
don't like it. I don't like the gloomy weather. But you see, since like we just started our live and the sun is coming out, at least here where I am.
exactly, exactly. They're spreading the sun and the sunshine,
And the light, yeah.
and so excited to reconnect with you folks. Please put your comments if you're joining us live. It's always great to hear from folks, and we've gotten some incredible feedback for Chew on This, and that's why we keep chewing on this with you, coming up with new ideas and new areas to cover. And I think specifically, I think today's topic is something we get a lot asked a lot about, and I think is the secret weapon, perhaps for both of us. I think in some way.
For I think for everyone for everyone, right? Because at the end of the day, yeah, the topic is around networking, right? Because at the end of the day, we all work with people, whether we are
Right.
selling something or we are creating. I mean, we're creating technology, but at the end of the day, the end user is a person, right? Like, and building partnership, finding clients, selling your product, selling yourself as a professional. This is pretty much done through networking, right? Like the one of the easy, I would say easiest, but it's not so easy, but like one of the popular ways is networking. So yeah, let's talk about networking. And I
Yeah.
remember the way we came to this topic was through actually I mean was the fact that that week, I mean last week, I had so many one-on-one intro
Yeah.
calls, right? So
Yeah.
that was like this is one of the network, because when people hear networking, they always think about networking events, right? So let's
Mhm.
start with networking events, the most
Yeah.
popular, Vlada. What do you think about networking events? Do you go to networking events? Do you network there? What's your takeaway, and what are
Yeah.
the outcomes for you?
That's a great question. I would say that when I was just starting as entrepreneur, I probably went to maybe 100 networking events, some crazy number for a variety of reasons. So one of them was looking for CTO as I was just getting starting with the startup, then looking for investors, then looking for customers, then looking for variety of different people. I spend a lot of time in these broad networking events. I am very selective, I think, about broad networking events I go to now for a few reasons that I'm happy to get into. But it's certainly a tool, especially if you're starting from the very beginning. But I think actually there are better tools. I am always of a mindset that if you know who you're looking to network with, there are fairly effective tools to do that. But I think broad networking is just about increasing your surface and opportunities for serendipity to happen.
Absolutely. Well, let me put in my 2 cents here. I technically just like you would, like you just said, when you started out as an entrepreneur, you went to network. I went to networking events pretty much every day when I just moved to Miami, because that's something I had just had to do. I had to know the people, right? I wanted to meet people, but I also wanted to understand what's happening here, right? Like what kind of environment I'm in. And also I needed, and I had to show myself, right? Because I moved here for business, and yeah, just wanted to meet as many people as possible. So yeah, just like you, I remember back in the day when I just moved here 3.5 years ago, I would go to events every single day sometimes. And you know what? It did pay off. 2 or 3 months in, I think I knew pretty much everyone who I had to know. And I could understand what Miami tech scene was like. That was like really valuable and important. And also I was able to understand, to judge the quality of events, right? Because like when you have this experience of going to events, then by just reading the description of the event, or by like the name or the place, the location, you kind of can judge the quality of the event, whether it's going to be good or not, whether you're going to meet the people you want to meet there or not, just like you said. So I
Right.
think this is a step that you have to do if you
If you're
just starting
starting.
out.
Right.
Yeah, like it is, so especially if you're an immigrant worker, that's something that you have to do. And then you will learn what this is the next step, Vlada, that you just said. You will learn how to judge who you're looking for, where these people are going to be hanging out, how you can reach out to them. Are you going
Right.
to reach out to them in person, maybe like for one-on-one, or you go to an event where they're going to be, or the tools that you're talking about, right? But
Yeah.
also another thing that I want to mention, that all these like networking events might be like a lot of like noise and no result. However, you will still benefit from going to these events because you have a chance to
Right.
practice pitching yourself, talking to people, feeling more confident. Because like at the end of the day, I feel like everyone has a problem of like coming up first and striking up a conversation, right? And there are so many tips on like how to do it, but unless you start doing it, you know you're not gonna succeed at it, right? So you just have to start doing it. You just have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
go.
and it's funny because I've had a number of people over the years tell me, "Oh, you're so good at these networking events. I just don't do them because I'm not good at them." I was like, "Nobody is good at networking events before they've done hundreds of them. Like you just can't, right?" And the mastery comes with experience and practice. And yeah,
Yeah, this is so true. So what are the and then for example for me, when I became like more confident being at this events and like talking to people, I understood that now I want to do one-on-one reach outs, and just like reaching out to people, to key people that I think potentially I feel there is a potential alignment, and then I can reach out to them, and then we have one-on-ones. This is what I've been having like these past like few months, right? Because yeah, networking events can be exhausting. It's always in the evening. I mean, usually it's in the evening. There is always like this like a food, bad drinking component of. So like I stopped eating and drinking at networking events. If I don't know, like really know the quality. Yeah, so this is like there are some things. So that's why but reaching out to someone for a one-on-one networking is hard. It's even more difficult than coming up to a person at a group networking, because you have so many insecurities. And again, unless you practice enough, right? You're like, oh, is this person going to be interested? Like, what? Like, why would they want to meet me? Like, what's the message that I'm going to send them that is going to be appealing enough for them to say yes to meet with me on a one-on-one call? So that's kind of like, yeah. What are your tools, Vlada, that you said that
yeah.
you
I
kind of
was just about to think about it. Like, let's talk about networking events. Just one tip that really helps you, and then we can talk about one-on-one, and then other hacks. So for networking events, I think when I just started, I hated that first period when you enter a room and you don't know anyone and you're standing there by yourself. I found it very uncomfortable. So what did I do? I just latched on to the first person I could see. And so that was sort of my escape route. But over time, I learned to actually come and read the room. And if you don't know many people there, it's hard to know really who to latch on to. But let's say if you're in an event, you can see if you recognize some faces. Maybe you've seen them on I don't know, podcast, social media, somewhere else. You can see, some people wear corporate, attire if you're looking to meet, I don't know, some different kinds. If you're looking to meet creative people, you can look at sort of how they're dressed. That could be, so just, I think, reading the room, looking for who looks interesting, who looks kind of that they are master of whatever craft they're in. And of course, that's when you kind of have to judge the book by its cover, because you don't have any other signals in a broad networking event. And so I think just over time, learning to read the room and having the confidence, right? You are there and you have something to offer, and just coming in as an active listener with open mind and thinking about how you can help a person, and then being clear about what it is that you need help with as well.
Yeah, definitely. I love those tips about reading the room, and also like finding the most interesting or maybe extravagant person in the room, whether it's a dress or maybe a hat, or, there's going to be people like this, and kind of like breaking the ice for yourself. But I also want to say that what sometimes, people, I'm pretty sure that there are people who go to these events and they never end up talking to anyone unless like they are being approached by somebody else, right? And I think a lot of times this is because of lack of preparation, because you have to be prepared, right? Like you don't have the skill of networking, so you have to be prepared, like prepare your personal elevator pitch, right? Like have it like running in your head, several times. What are you going to say? How are you going to introduce yourself? What are you going to say about the project? What are you going to say about like what you do about yourself? Things
Right.
like that. I think if you have that prepared, that's going to make it easier for you to actually start approaching people and talk about yourself to like with other people. So definitely preparation aspect is often overlooked. So I would like definitely recommend preparing. And whenever you need to introduce yourself, this like personal elevator pitch, if you don't know what to say, just like remember about like 3 things that you can say. Just like say who you are, say what you do, and what you're looking for. Like, right? Like if you're struggling with really like saying something about yourself, like after that like initial breaking the ice moment, when you come up to the person and like, how do you start a conversation, right? You can give a compliment, you can make a comment about like what the person looks like, or not what the person looks like, not the
What they're
appearance.
wearing or something,
Yeah,
or
like,
or about the event itself, right? You
yeah.
have to find some common ground.
Yeah, just like a comment. And then after this, so like, what do you do, right? The question is, what do you do? And here, like, you might get stuck if you're not prepared, right? So like have these like 3 questions in mind. What do I do? Like who I am, what I do, and what I want. That's another thing. You have to be you have to know what you want from this event. You have to know what you're looking for, or maybe what you're offering, right? And then yeah, but then also, like, you have to be careful about hard sells. I feel like,
Yeah, and I think it's also okay to move on to the next person. That's another important tip, right? At the end of the
Oh, how
day,
do you move on, by the way? What's like, how do you wrap up the conversation and move on? What do you say?
just say it's so great to meet you. Let's exchange, our social media or some other form of contact that the person prefers, and thank them and move on, right? I think again, it's about the depth as opposed to breadth, right? Just because 1,000 people, it doesn't mean that 1,000 people knows you, right? And at the end of the day, what matters is who knows you, not who you know. And so I
Sure.
think that um, if it's the right alignment, then it's okay to spend the whole networking evening with that person, right? But if you feel that there are not that many points of interaction and where you can add value to each other, it's okay to just thank a person for the short conversation and move on to the next person, right? At the end of the day, it's just really hard in these broad events to figure out where that alignment's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about networking for fundraising, Vlada, because I came across this newsletter with like some tips around networking when you're fundraising as a startup founder. And the idea was that when you are networking for fundraising, you don't really you don't really always need to network in the traditional way where you build a relationship, blah, blah, blah. But like for you, as an exited founder and a person who raised capital, how did networking happen for you when you were raising capital?
Yeah, I don't know that I went to, well, I certainly went to many pitches, right, where I was pitching to a network or community of sorts, whether it was angel community or some other group. So I guess I was in a speaking position, and so that wasn't really networking in that way. I actually don't think any investors, to be honest, that I met as part of a broader networking were not very fruitful because of just for early stage entrepreneurs out there, just because someone calls themselves an investor doesn't mean that they invest.
Everyone is an investor these days.
Right,
Everyone,
exactly, exactly.
everyone.
So I think a lot of that's the tricky part, is that if you're looking for real movers and shakers, they just don't go to networking events. But that's why you organizing your own networking is a really smart move. And I'm excited, Anna, to learn from like what's your best hack in networking. The best hack I've used was really in New York when an investor friend of mine and I organized female funders and founders dinners, and it was incredible because it gave us space to invite female founders and female investors, and we organized these groups and we built the networking that we wanted. She wanted the founders, I wanted the investors, and so we built our own networking
I
that way.
love this.
It's very targeted, right? Because you don't have to come and guess who these people are. You already know who they are, and these are exactly the people you need.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a great opportunity for you for your first reach out message, right? Because you're not like trying to sell anything. You're not trying to just like, oh, let's have a meet and greet. But instead, you're offering something valuable. That's something that can potentially be interesting for the person. And you are immediately making this connection. And I did the same thing actually when I moved to Miami. I joined as a co founder of a local Web3 community, and we organized our events for the Web3, for the Miami Web3 community. And the same, just like we had an opportunity to invite different people. And obviously, it's all volunteer based. It was a lot of work, but like again, for me as someone who just moved to Miami, that was a great move because I was able to meet people, different people, and also people, like more people knew about me even before I knew about them, because we were like on social media, and people were talking about it. So definitely that's a great move. And I know that we are planning with you to do something like this in Miami with dinners, right? So
Yes,
hopefully
exactly.
we can host our first dinner soon, and yeah, create a great community. Another tip that I have, well, my thought that I have around this, I really appreciate intimate gatherings.
Yeah.
When you have just so many people in the room that you can actually talk to everyone, like the event we went with you yesterday, women empowerment, wine and dine, whatever. It was nice because you could really get to know each person there, and you could see, oh, there is something that we can do together, or okay, this is an interested person, I want to like continue a conversation. But it's only possible when there is so many people in the room, because like bigger events, obviously you will not going to have an opportunity to
Right.
talk to everyone, or if you try, you're going to be burned out. And now here's another tip before we wrap up. When you are at a networking event with many people, don't overwhelm yourself. you know, like if you want to talk to many people, you might not get a chance to talk to many people. Then you're gonna, you know, your expectations are gonna not be met, and like you're gonna feel weird, like I don't know, not productive and things like that. So set realistic goals, even if you talk to 3 people, but you gonna have, you know, some impactful and deep conversations with them. This is better than talking to 10 people, just like, you know, quick introduction, so they will never remember you, you'll never remember them, right? So quality over quantity, as always in life, right?
100%, 100%. And then the other thing that I actually, for me, another hack as we ramp up is if you hear a person on a podcast or you hear them sort of in some public domain, that's always a great reason to reach out, because people love the fact that you actually have that personal connection. You resonated with their ideas and their values, and if you use that in your outreach, that always is better converting, if you will, than just a random message. So I've really connected with a lot of people, including investors, including some just really great friends that I made from just listening to podcasts and saying, "Huh, this is an interesting person. Let me send them a note."
Yeah, absolutely. I did the same thing. I attended an online conference, and I reached out to the speaker after, and we set up a call, just like to a meet and greet call. Like, you know, I don't think, I mean, just an interesting person to have a conversation with. And sometimes you, like, you don't always have to have this like big goal where you need to, like, I don't know, raise money or sell your product or offer your service or something like that. Sometimes it's just like interesting to chat with people, and like you said at the very beginning, you know, allow for the serendipity to do its work, right?
Right. Exactly. So we wish you guys a lot of serendipity, but first clarity. First clarity, and maybe next time we talk about clarity and talk about goals, right? And how to think about, especially now that we are talking about, we are in kind of approaching the end of year.
Yeah, it's like, oh
We
my
can
God, this
start
is this time of the year. We have to set goals, and like we have to be productive. We have to be motivated. Absolutely. Yeah. Getting
so we can
clarity.
talk about kind of setting goals and achieving clarity, right? How do you achieve clarity?
I
Because
love
at
it.
the end of the day, clarity, the more I live, the more I understand that clarity is number one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, leading with clarity. This is a potential topic for our
yeah,
next live stream. But I love it. Yeah. Clarity, goal setting, you name it. And I think it's great that we're gonna talk about this pretty early, because like let's give people a chance to figure out how they can actually end this year strong.
exactly.
Awesome. Well, it was great seeing you, Vlada, as
Fantastic.
always.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Anna. Have a clear next step, which is next Thursday. We at 1 p.m. we're gonna meet same place, and we're gonna talk about our next topic on Chew on This. Have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. Bye.